that I wanted to connect to each other. Perhaps I have a different team of IT people in some other location that I want to give them the functionality for their local ESX hosts, and then myself in a different location for my ESX hosts, but still have the two working with each other. I could do so using linked mode. I'll choose standalone mode here and choose the next button. I have a number also of different ports that are required for vCenter Server to do the job that it needs to do. Most of these are kind of more or less standard reports for the different protocols that are being used. You'll notice here your HTTP and HTTPS ports are the common ports there, as are your LDAP and SSL port. For the most part, most of us are actually going to just use the default ports here. The only situation where you may be using a different port is if you already have some sort of service or application or technology already existing on the server today. This is a fresh server. It's been just freshly installed. There's no applications on it, so there's nothing to worry about in terms of port conflict. There are some ports also for the inventory service. These are some high-numbered ports here for running those inventory service functions. I'll also choose the default. And then I have to choose a database size here for the Java virtual machine that vCenter Server uses. Now, this is an important determination because you will want to figure out, or at least make an educated guess about what the maximum size of your vCenter environment may be at any point in the future where this vCenter Server is going to be managing it. If you think you're going to go above 100 hosts, you may choose a medium inventory size, or even a large one if you're going to be a very large environment. Or if your virtual machines will grow over 1,000 or 4,000 virtual machines. What this does is it sets aside a different maximum amount of memory for that database. And it's a very important determination for you to make, because once you make this, it's very difficult to change this setting. Now, my environment here is relatively small. We've got a couple of ESX hosts and not that many virtual machines, so I can choose small here. But again, do some very deep thinking here in terms of how big you think you're going to get before you make your selection. I choose the next button here, and you'll see that I have a checkbox down here that before I go and install the program, I have an option to choose how many ephemeral ports are going to be available to vCenter Server. Now, these ephemeral ports are the ports that are above, these are the TCP ports that are above 1024, and a certain number of ports are going to be available for vCenter Server to do what it needs to do. But if you do believe you're going to have the case where you have more than 2,000 virtual machines that will specifically power on simultaneously, well, then you may want to check this box. If you don't think you're going to be able to, or going to need to power on 2,000 virtual machines at the exact same time, you probably aren't going to. In my case, I won't, so I'm not going to go to, but this is yet another one of those checkboxes that you'll want to pay particular attention to if you think the size of your virtual environment is going to get large and you're going to be powering on lots of stuff at the exact same time. Now, at this point, I'm going to hit the install button, and it goes through all of the installation pieces, of which this can take about 12 minutes or so to complete. So I'm going to pause the recording, and when we come back, we'll have a completely installed VMware vCenter Server. And we're back. After about 7-10 minutes or so, we've completed the installation of vCenter Server. Now, what's interesting about this install is that VMware has done what a smart software company has done, and the installation of vCenter Server does not actually install the vSphere client. So if you go to your Start menu after installing vCenter Server, you'll find that there actually is no client with which to be able to interact with vCenter Server. And really, that's a smart thing because, arguably your server should be doing the server functionality while your client should be on your desktop doing the client functionality. Now, you can actually here from the same installer install that vSphere client here. And you'll notice that the client includes the prerequisite, again, of the .NET 3.5 SP1 and Microsoft Visual J#